Good evening, Valley View community. I'm going to give everyone another few minutes. I know we scheduled for 6, but it looks like more people are coming in. So I'm going to allow 3 to 4 extra minutes before we get started. Thank you so much for your patience. For those just coming in, I have shared that we're going to give everyone a few more minutes before we get started. I still see people coming in. So thank you so much for your patience. Two more minutes and we will get started, everyone. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Valley View community. I'm Dr. Hurst, superintendent for our district. And I'm going to go ahead and get started. I wanted to allow about 5 minutes just to have everyone to come in that wanted to come in, and those who are going to come in a little bit late that just join the conversation. I will share with everyone that the conversation, this Zoom session is being recorded. I will send this to the Valley View community as well, so you can have a copy if you desire to have a copy. I also will share with you that I have instructed staff to disable the chat feature, so we'll not be using the chat feature during this Zoom session. I also have asked that during comments or questions, if you could please raise your hand, we will unmute you and then appropriately receive your questions and your comments. So I wanted to just share that with you. I also wanted to lay out the agenda for this evening. And I'll first talk about the purpose and why we are here. I'm going to lay out some ground rules as well, some norms. And I'm going to provide direction for the Valley View community. And then I'm going to do some introductions. And then at the very end, we're going to allow for comments and questions also. So I'm going to just share that agenda again, just in case you did not receive that or hear that. I'm going to cover the purpose of the meeting. I'll lay some ground rules and also some norms. I'm going to provide direction, some introductions, and then allow for comments and questions. For those who are coming in, this is being recorded. And we're receiving questions at the end after I finish going over the agenda. So I wanted to just share with all of you the purpose, as I shared in my email, is to provide the Valley View community direction and how we're going to be moving forward with the learning community, specifically regarding Principal Ross. So I just want to be very clear that that is our purpose for this evening, to provide direction. So I wanted to cover some ground rules and some norms, as I shared. One of the first things I want to share with you is that, one, this conversation is to provide direction. I'm going to be very clear in providing direction. The direction will be designed to move forward, to move the community forward. The second ground rule I'd like to share with you, the second norm, is this is not an opportunity to disparage Principal Ross. So what I mean by that is I am not going to receive any comments, nor will my staff receive any comments that are meant to demean or disparage Ms. Ross. That's not what this meeting is about. Again, is to provide direction. Ground rule number 3 is no demands. I am not receiving demands from any member from the Valley View community or anyone. And I'm asking my staff the same. So just being very clear, we are not receiving any demands. This is not the opportunity when we get to the questions, when we get to comments, to unmute and then make a demand regarding what you believe should happen. That's not what this is about. Again, I want to very clearly state the purpose. The purpose of this meeting is for me to provide direction and how we're moving forward. And then ground rule number 4 is keeping a growth mindset. And just so that we're very clear, in very basic terms, a growth mindset, the very basic definition includes the belief that talents and skills can be developed through hard work, good strategies, and input from others. And that's what this meeting is about this evening. really having this conversation about how we're moving forward. How do we grow together as a learning community and support our kids? At the end of the day, that's what this conversation is about for me. I'm here for kids, and I'm making decisions in the best interest of our kids as well. So I want to review those ground rules once again, just to be very clear with everyone. The purpose of this meeting is solely to provide direction. I will be very clear in providing direction to the Valley View community. The second is it's not an opportunity to disparage Principal Ross. I will not receive any comments. There will not be a discussion that's demeaning to Principal Ross in any way, nor will my staff receive any comments or participate in any discussion that's meant to demean her. The third one, once again, is this is not the opportunity to share demands. I'm not receiving any demands. This is an opportunity for number 4, have a growth mindset and really have a discussion, conversation about how we are moving forward the Valley View community together in the best interest of our students. So just want to be very clear about those ground rules. So in the next portion of the agenda, I talked about direction. So being very clear, I personally have been to Valley View, and I've spent considerable time talking to employees that wanted to speak with me. I've received emails, the board has received emails also. They've been very attentive. They've read every email, and I too have read every email as well. I believe Dr. Joyner was included on most of those. She's read every email also. So I wanted to just share with you that we all care about what's happening with the community. I wanted to be there to show support, but I also wanted to be there to listen to what's going on. I spent a number of days, and I wanted to make sure that I even sent out a Google document for anyone that wanted to sign up to speak with me so that they could share their concerns. And I did that. I believe those who wanted to speak with me came in to speak with me. I believe that people were very transparent as well. And I think we all know that there were 4 areas that were shared with me. The first was leadership concerns. There was concerns around communication. There's concerns around safety. There was concerns around school climate. What I did is I asked probing questions. I asked for specific examples, and I asked for data and documentation to support what was happening or not happening in each of those areas. Many staff, they followed up with me and they provided evidence or documentation in those areas that they had concerns around. I will share with you that I did share all of the information with the board of directors. And after reviewing all the concerns, and here's where I get to providing direction to the Valley View community, it's my strong belief that those concerns that were shared can be addressed through intensive support, coaching, and mentoring. So this really gets to what my direction is for the Valley View community, is that we will continue with Principal Ross as the principal of Valley View Elementary. I also believe that moving forward, that there's been a lot of conversations that has happened. a lot of conversations that have been shared. Some of you have shared your thoughts and have been very passionate and have come to board meetings as well with signs and have shared your thoughts. So part of the direction is, one, we're going to move forward with Principal Ross as the principal. We are going to have intensive support, but I also know that the relationship between employees, between students, between the community and parents, and between Principal Ross has to be developed, it has to be strengthened, it has to be repaired. So this gets to the other portion of my agenda. It's really the opportunity to share with all of you how we're going to move forward. So this gets to my fourth portion of the ground rules, and that is the growth mindset. So we have a few people here. When I ask them to unmute, we're going to ask them to unmute and to share the support plan in those areas that we're going to be utilizing to move forward. So Dr. Joyner, can you unmute and share the support plan, please?
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Hurst. So we, after listening to in the last community meeting and listening to the representative that spoke on behalf of the Valley View community, 4 areas were identified, as Dr. Hurst talked about, which were communication, school climate, student safety and well-being, and leadership. And so we put together a plan that addresses those 4 priority areas, and this is an improvement plan for Ms. Ross. And this plan partially is grounded, well, not partially, it's grounded in a coach has been provided for her. So she has weekly coaching with a veteran seasoned administrator, a retired administrator. And the coach will provide support and has been providing support to Ms. Ross around those 4 areas. And so we've identified some directives as well as some broad reaching ideas for her around communication, school climate, student safety and well-being, and leadership. And we provided a timeline, and that timeline is before the end of the school year. And so we will reevaluate her efforts based on these 4 areas and her coaching to see the growth that she is making within that timeline. And we will reassess after that timeline to determine, how much growth she has made. And if there is growth made, then we will have another discussion, whether there's growth made or not. But we are seeing some growth already. She's been meeting with her coach, and we definitely have seen some areas of growth that have started to show themselves. So again, the plan was designed based on your feedback with those 4 priority areas. And we will be monitoring this plan quarterly with Ms. Ross and her coach.
Thank you so much, Dr. Joyner. I also shared that a portion of this, what I have seen, is that the community needs to be restored. Relationships need to be strengthened, repaired, developed amongst all parties, from students to parents, employees, community. So we have reached out to an organization. The organization is called Circle Up. And I'm going to introduce Circle Up to you. They're going to unmute. They're going to talk about what they do and the work that they're going to be doing with us and with the Valley View community. So Ms. Tiffany, if you can unmute from Circle Up.
There we go. Hi, everybody. Good evening. Thank you, Dr. Hurst. Good evening, everybody. My name is Tiffany Hong. I am the co-founder at Circle Up Education. We are an Oakland-based social enterprise. We work with schools, cities, nonprofits, organizations around 4 key areas related to anti-discrimination, conflict resolution, restorative practices, and relationship building. And so Dr. Joyner, Dr. Hurst have filled us in some of the challenges that have come up in the past year, and we hope to be working with you all to support the Valley View community to strengthen relationships and engage in some community building through monthly meetings that will be held with the idea of relationship building to explore really how to move forward from this point. Knowing that there are not going to be changes that you may all have wanted, but to really explore where do we go from here. And really going back to what Dr. Hurst said in interest of the students at Valley View. And so this work won't be centered around conflict resolution or mediation, but instead it will really be about paving a new way forward. So we look forward to exploring how we can work together in collaboration with you all through these monthly meetings with the community to problem solve, to explore how to move forward and to collaborate. Thank you.
Thank you, Tiffany. I appreciate that. We have an opportunity here to engage in some questions and some comments, but again, Valley View community, really want to be very clear with you that the sole purpose of this was to really provide direction and a path forward. And this is for our students, and that is my interest for our students. I'm not interested right now in having a conversation around demands or hearing disparaging comments. So as you are raising your hands, I do ask that we really reflect around the question or around how can we move forward, or what comments do you have around that, or what questions do you have around us moving forward? So with that, we're going to ask, I see Miss Sienna Cabo, if she can be unmuted so she can ask her question or make her comment, please.
Hello, my name is Shauna Cobble. I have a 4th grader at Valley View and a 7th grader at Betty Reed Siskin. I've been a teacher in the district for over 20 years, and I love Valley View. It's a good little school with a good little community, very strong parent support. We've never had the discipline problems that I see occurring now. My concern, and please bear with me, it's like in a court, you know, where is this relevant? I am afraid that Valley View is going to end up what happened to Stewart last year. I did not want to be part of anything, any protests or anything, because I didn't want anybody to even know who I was this year after the abuse. And there's no other word to describe what happened to me last year than abuse from a principal who is no longer with us. Thank God. But in 2 years, that principal managed to chase away teachers that had been at that school for over 20 years, superb teachers, chase away families. Now, I understand that some families have left because of COVID, but we're talking about families that I know for sure have gone to different schools and have left because of what the principal had done. We are now trying to rebuild Stewart. Where does this reflect with Valley View? It reflects with Valley View because we as teachers were afraid to say anything or do anything because we were afraid of retaliation. Of what I've heard, the teachers are the same way here at Valley View. You had 6 of them call in on Tuesday. I have never in my
Cobble.
20 plus years heard of that.
Let me ask you a question.
I'm
Hold
very
on.
concerned.
Ms. Cobble, I really just want to redirect you and anyone also. So I really was listening intently to what you were saying, and I was looking for the segue to how we can move forward. I didn't hear that. So if you're really wanting to share how we can move forward, that's what I'm really interested in hearing. I want to go back to the ground rules. This is not the opportunity to revisit, things that have happened in the past. I've been very clear. This is about direction, moving forward, and growth mindset. That's why we shared the plan with you. That's why we had Tiffany from Circle Up share as well. So what I will do is I'll continue to redirect everyone. And I'm willing to stay here for as long as we need to. I know we have an hour to 7. I can stay here longer, but only if we're really couched in that question on how can we move forward together. That's what I'm interested in. I provided direction. That's what I want to hear whenever we are unmuting. So I see Stacy Campos. If we can unmute Stacy, please.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. I'm going to do my best. My heart is beating really fast right now. I want to tell you, I'm going to reiterate what I said at the meeting with the lawyer earlier this week. I am a 20-year Valley View parent, 20 consecutive years. I have a 25-year-old, a 20-year-old, and a 6th grader. Not 1 year in 20 have I not been a Valley View parent. And this is the first year that I've ever had issues. And what's incredible to me is you spent the first 7 minutes of the meeting saying that, we shouldn't talk about the principal, which makes me realize that you don't want to hear the truth, right? So why don't you protect the 290 students of Valley View?
Ms. Campos. So what I will share is, as I shared at the very beginning, like you just shared, the first 7 minutes, I really talked about the time that I spent talking with employees. So I did spend considerable time there. Not just me as the superintendent, but staff did as well. You had my CAO down there. You had Dr. Joyner, the executive director over elementary. And we're not just talking about 1 day or 2 days. We're talking about a few weeks. For as long as this has been happening, we have had staff at the site. We've had board members there, and we actually have those same board members that's here this evening. They spent considerable time there. So I will share with you, Ms. Campos, we have been listening. I have been listening. But what I will share is, after listening, I made a decision and I shared it with the board. And that's how we're moving forward. And I'm going to share with you all. Again, I'm going to continue to redirect. And I will continue to say, I will be here for as long as we need to be here. As long as we are couching the conversation around how do we move forward, and your comments or questions are around that. So with that, we're going to go to Diana Gradstein for your comments.
Hi, turn yours off. Sorry, feedback from my husband. Hi, Dr. Hirsch. Thank you so much for
Hi.
being here. I'm a 20-year teacher, and I have a 2nd grader at Valley View. And my heart's beating fast right now. I'm trying to breathe.
Do you want me to speak for you?
No, I can speak. I appreciate your desire to be positive and to move forward. But I think it's really important to hear that our concerns are urgent. The well-being of our children and the safety of our children are urgent. And hearing from you that there are 4 areas that she needs to improve on makes me realize, which I already knew, but realize once again that you hired somebody who was unqualified. And that basically this is the training ground for her to become qualified to do the job she was hired to do.
But let
And
me,
that our, excuse me, and that our children are basically
let me
the experiment.
interrupt. Let me interrupt. Again, it does go back to what I was sharing. This conversation with the Valley View community was very specific and very deliberate. I will share with you, I'm very interested in this community, as is our staff, and moving forward with our students. Again, I'm asking for comments on how we can move forward. So I'm going to ask Cheryl Phantom, Jahan, please unmute.
You know, you've muted 3 parents while they're trying to speak. You're not listening. That tells me you are not listening. You keep cutting everybody off. You're not listening to what we have to say. No one has said anything disparaging about an individual. There's been no personal attacks here. Parents are trying to tell you that they are unhappy with circumstances. And no, at this point, it's a little too late. We've been asking for help for months, and you've only been on campus for the last couple of weeks. That doesn't cut it. We're done. We're done. And again, you've set up this meeting saying you're going to talk to us, and you.
So once again, I'll share with you, we are certainly interested in having conversations with everyone about how we're moving forward. I will keep redirecting back to that sentiment on how can we move forward together. Principal Ross will continue as the principal. She's going to have an intensive support plan, and we're going to be working with the community, with the organization, Circle Up. But again, I'm not interested in revisiting the past. What I did share, I couched the conversation around a growth mindset. That we can all improve, we can all do things to get better, increase our skills and talents. And I'm interested in how do we get better together for our students. So Ms. Caldwell, can you unmute her, please?
Good evening, Dr. Hurst. How are you?
Very good.
I'm one parent that I'm all support and all hands on deck, but this has been a very trying time. I know I have spoken to you on various Zooms. My husband has spoken to you on Zooms as well as in person. I am all for supporting Ms. Ross. However, I think at some point in any employment, in any position that anyone has, there's levels of support that you can provide, but I also think that at the same time, you can't, I'm not saying that she's not qualified for the position, any employment, any job. However, I think that my recommendation would be moving forward is that if it was from 1 or 2 parents of a concern, I can understand. But when you have this multitude, especially the night of 91 people on this Zoom call, multiple people at board meetings, multiple letters and concerns, I think sometimes we have to take a step back and say, what can we do differently? And my recommendation moving forward would be to remove her from Valley View, but still keep her employed as an employee and allow these coaching opportunities to happen. However, to move someone in that position that can take on the role so that because there is a safety issue, there's a big safety concern, there's a big communication concern. And I think we have to look at the bigger picture as to what makes parents more comfortable, not saying, dismiss her from the district, but I think we have to look at other recommendations and still provide support to her with coaching in a different capacity and not in the capacity that she's currently in. My fear is that as a parent, that many students, someone's going to get seriously hurt and parents that are gonna have a big concern.
Ms. Caldwell, I appreciate your comments, but I will share with all of you. Ms. Ross, not being there, that is not the conversation. Her being relieved from this position, that's off the table. What I've shared very clearly is my direction. She's going to move forward as the principal, and she's going to be supported. And I strongly believe that those issues that have been shared, that I've talked to individuals about, the emails, those are all coachable issues. And that's how we're going to proceed. She's going to receive intensive coaching. And then we're going to follow up also with the community conversation with Circle Up. But again, Ms. Caldwell, thank you for your comments. Those are the same concerns that I heard during all of my conversations over the past few weeks, and also in the emails as well. So again, let me be very clear with everyone. If this is the same conversation that we're going to have as we unmute, I'm not a disrespectful person. But I will be very clear, I don't mean to disrespect you, but if you are not abiding by those ground rules, I'm going to ask that you be muted. I'm interested in moving forward, and I'm interested in Ms. Ross receiving coaching and mentoring, and us partnering with Circle Up to move forward for our students. Allison Palmer.
Hello. I'm actually, hold on, let me turn my camera around here. I'm actually quite surprised you actually unmuted me, since you've accused me of threatening you in several emails, because I don't like Ms. Ross and I don't like the way you've taken care of all of this, and that you're going to report me to your attorneys. So I'm just going to say this right now. I've had my kids out all week. They will not be coming back to Valley View. They will not be coming back to any school in West Contra Costa Unified.
Please mute her. Thank you so much. Again, just want to redirect everyone. Please, 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 just focus on what I shared. We are moving forward, and we're interested in those conversations on how we can move forward together for our students. Mr. and Mrs. DeCastro, can we unmute them, please?
Hi, Dr. Hurst. Thanks for letting us speak. Thanks for being here. So you've conducted an investigation. Obviously, you must have evaluated strengths and weaknesses, pros and cons of this decision. I, as well as probably a majority of the parents on this call, could cite multiple weaknesses and failures that we've personally seen. So I'm very interested to hear from you the strengths, the positives that you guys have identified that have led you to believe that we can grow and move forward from here. So I would love for you to share with us specific examples, since we have multiple specific examples of failures. I'd like to hear the specific examples of strengths that we can look towards to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your comments. What I will share with you is I won't provide any specific examples of strengths. What I will say is that I certainly share concerns out of those 4 areas. So I'm not denying that there are some concerns that I have. And I said that at the very beginning. I sat down with a lot of you and read your emails, and there are absolutely some concerns that I have. So that's what I will share. But what I also said at the very beginning is that the concerns that I heard the evidence that was provided for me and what I shared also with the board, those are coachable through intensive coaching. And we are going to move forward in that way. So I'm not going to deny Mr. Castro that there are not concerns, because there are some concerns that I have, but I also strongly believe that they're coachable. So I wanted to share that with you. Hence my decision to move forward. Viviana Milan.
Hi.
Hi.
I share a lot of concerns, and I think there's a lot of whys and what ifs and all these things that are happening with the parent populace and myself. I have 2 children at Valley View right now, and I want there to be growth. I want there to be learning. I want all these things
Yes.
for this person. I have a lot of doubts, and it sounds to me that you have a lot of concerns too. When I hear somebody, the superintendent, saying, I have concerns too, makes me as a parent think, ah! So I guess when it comes down to, my question is that, you know, I see that there are 92 people on this meeting, not including, then I'll take away Joyner and maybe a few of the staff, maybe that's about 10 people, so about 82 people. That comes down to almost a third of the student populace and of Valley View, and we're very concerned about this growth opportunity with this person. And I worry about what's going to happen next with my child. I kind of worry in the sense, I don't know if I want to bank on this opportunity with somebody who may not necessarily know what they're doing. And
I mean, we're almost halfway through and we haven't seen any growth thus far. And you guys,
that's why we're concerned.
just
Wait,
now
Mark.
Hold on. Let me just share this. I want to address a portion of what you were just saying and just clarify. So I did say I have some concerns. I didn't say I had a lot of concerns. I can share with you my concerns are certainly around communications. And I saw specific examples and I have specific evidence around communications. And I shared that as well with the board. So just want to clarify, I do have some concerns around communications, and I also will share that I have concerns around leadership, and those are connected. But I want to keep going back to what I shared, that the concerns that I have are coachable. They are coachable, which is why I'm sharing with you the direction. So I didn't want to cut you off, but I did want to share with you, yes, just to clarify, there are some concerns, but also that I do know and strongly believe that those concerns that I have are certainly coachable. Thank you, ma'am. Mr. O'Connor.
Hi. Yeah, I just have a couple of questions about the coaching. Can you tell us more about this? Like, who is this coach? What experience do they have? What qualifications do they have? And then is there kind of will we be getting more information about how the coaching is going and what the results of it are?
Thank you so much, sir, for your question. I appreciate it. Dr. Joyner, can you talk more about the coaching and how that would work, please?
Yes, so the coach is a retired superintendent who has been an administrator for 20 plus years and has been in education for 30 plus years. It's a man, and he checks in with Ms. Ross weekly, several times a week. We're trying to get fingerprints and things cleared so that he can then come to the site to provide on-site coaching. Right now, they've been meeting through Zoom and through telephone calls. But when we come back at the top of the year, he will then be coming to the site weekly to provide on-site coaching and support for her. So he has the plan. I've shared the plan with the coach, and sat and talked with both of them about the plan. And so he's going to be observing, what she's doing at the site, and helping her reflect and support her with that. And typically, brand new principals in various districts receive coaching in their first year, because they're brand new principals. And Ms. Ross is not new to this district. She has been an assistant principal. So she's been elevated to this principal position, and she requires coaching just as all of our new principals require coaching. So she has a very experienced coach. And again, he will be there at the site to provide support for her. Dr. Hirsch, you're muted.
I'm sorry. I was just asking Mr. O'Connor if that was helpful. Did that answer your question, Mr. O'Connor? You can unmute Mr. O'Connor, please.
It's helpful information, I guess, do we, are we involved in this in some way? Do we get more information about how it's going? Is there sort of a review? What if the coaching doesn't work? How long does the principal have?
Yeah, absolutely. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Can we keep Mr. O'Connor unmuted, please?
Sure. So we have a timeline that runs till March. And so we will be reviewing and assessing her growth through March based on a rubric that we've designed and feedback from the coach and feedback from Ms. Ross based on reflection. And so Dr. Hurst, Ms. Martin, and myself will, be having conversations with the coach and Ms. Ross to talk about her growth and then make some decisions in March.
Okay. I don't know whether we're involved in this or not. I can't really tell from that answer.
It's not a direct involvement, but there's various possibilities. One of the things that I'm asking in terms of the plan is around the climate committee. And I encourage, parents to get on the climate committee to survey how the school is growing and how the climate is growing. So that's one way that you could get involved and have a voice to support the growth of the community and the climate there, because she does need assistance from the community to help build the climate. She can't do it by herself. No principal builds the climate by themselves. And so there's opportunity for the community to get involved.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. O'Connor. Eric Hayamu or Yumo?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
So I also have some questions about the coaching. I guess Dr. Joyner mentioned that there would be a rubric involved with the coaching. Would we as parents have access to this rubric so that we can see what she's being graded on or how she's being evaluated? And she also mentioned that there would be evaluation in March. And then she also mentioned it would be a quarterly evaluation. That sounds to me like there will be one in March and one at the end of the year. That to me doesn't sound like it would be frequent enough for us as parents, simply because based on her past performance, we would want to see things happen more quickly or have more input.
So, sorry, go ahead.
And also, is there a way for Valley View parents to provide input during this process, and how will that be evaluated? And I have two other questions that are slightly unrelated.
So the coaching relationship is a confidential relationship, so we can't share, what the coach is doing specifically, but we. Again, the opportunity for the community to get involved is to take part in the climate the climate committee to support part of the work on the plan, which again is to have a climate committee. But the coaching relationship has to be confidential. So, you know, we can't share that information with you. But we can, you know, once a decision is made in March, that can be shared.
I was wondering, how does Circle Up fit into all of this, since it seems kind of vague at this point? And also, I think that's it. That's about it.
Tiffany, can you speak a little bit more about how Circle Up fits into this?
Yeah, absolutely. I think to answer your question, Eric, the goal is, you know, you all are a part of a school community together. And, you know, as Dr. Hurst has mentioned and reinforced, is that the decision has been made to keep Principal Ross at the school. And so given that this is where we are, right, that there are a lot of hands waiting to speak, a lot of concerns to be addressed, and also the decision has been made to keep her as principal, is that from this moment on until the end of the school year, the idea is then, how do we move forward together, right? Is that you're going to continue to be a school community, your students will be there, your staff will be there. So how do we move forward to address the concerns that you all have and still have in a way, and how to do it together and really collaborate and build relationships in order to build that trust to work together.
So are you guys going to be on site? Are you going to have meetings? How frequent will they be? What will be discussed at those meetings?
Yeah, great questions. At this point, what we know is that the meetings will happen at a minimum every month. They will be online via Zoom. The focus of the meetings will be around relationship building for the different stakeholders to understand and get to know each other and really explore how to work together. Yeah.
Will Dr. Ross be attending these meetings?
Yes. There's going to be we still haven't paved the specifics in terms of which meetings and when, but there will be a time for everybody to come together. It may not start off that way, but that will be the goals.
Okay. Also, for Dr. Joyner, would it be possible to have more than one evaluation before June? That would be, I think that would put that would help ease some concerns, although a lot of parents are really mad. So I don't know if that will help everybody, but it might help a little.
So there's only one evaluation. I mean, it's a full evaluation, but we check in, and I shouldn't have said quarterly because we only have 1.5 or 2
Yeah.
left. So there will be a monthly check-in with myself, the CAO, and Dr. Hurst, just to, you know, check in to see how things are going. But again, that is we're getting into human, oh my gosh, HR issues.
Yeah.
So we can't share that information, but yes, we will be checking in monthly to ensure growth.
Okay, that's it for me.
Good
Thank you,
evening,
sir.
parents. I'm going to add something. What I'm hearing from a couple of parents is just wanting to be able to give input on the process, or be able to say if you see progress or not, if you're getting the communication that you are desiring, if you are seeing less safety issues on campus between students. So what I think we can do in our meetings with Dr. Hurst and Dr. Joyner and myself is actually figure out a way to send out a survey to families to collect information, you know, within the next month or so, to get information from you to help inform if this is working or if it's not working, and then determine next steps. But that will help inform the process. The goal is that you will actually see progress, that you will see a change in communication and more communication. And we also have the communications department who will also be working with Valley View to make sure that parents are getting information in a timely manner. But I think if we put out some type of survey for families, that would help so that you would feel like you're able to give us information to know if it's working or not. So hopefully that will help. I'll talk to Dr. Hurst more about that, but that's something that we can do on our end.
Chris Roski.
Hi, Dr. Hurst.
Hi,
I'm
sir.
Here, and I'm glad that so many members of the district leadership are here. You know, I had a lot of things that I wanted to say, and I think that I'm glad that we have this big plan. I think it's a concrete plan with a lot of positive components. I'm glad you're bringing in a consultant from outside. On the other hand, last night at the board meeting, our former PTA president was in tears. Parents have boycotted the school this week. And I'm sort of left wondering why, when another parent, when Ms. Caldwell suggested a very rational and good mediated step, which would be a different path than what you're offering, I'm not sure why you feel the need to double down. I'm confused on that part because this is a lot of effort that the district is putting forward. And my feeling is it says the most important person here at this school is Ms. Ross. The parents and the community are secondary to that. The students are tertiary to that. I don't totally understand the logic. Thank you.
Mr. I wanted to see where you were going with that. Thank you for your statement. I didn't see the connection to the path forward. I know you said some things in the beginning about appreciating the plan and the amount of time that we put into the plan. But I want to assure you that I was very thoughtful and those partnering with me as well. Ms. Martin and Dr. Joyner have been very thoughtful in this process. We've been there, we've listened, and I've collected evidence as well. And I believe in what I shared with the board and with my team also, that these items, these concerns are coachable. And that's why I made that recommendation. I would not have made that recommendation, sir, if I did not believe that. And I have been doing this for a long time. And I am an expert. I mean, that's what I was hired for, in education. So I will share with all of you, and I'll share with you, sir, that I firmly believe that the items that I have heard, that you have shared with me, that all of you have shared, that the emails, those items are coachable. And you are absolutely right, sir. We have spent a considerable amount of time making sure that Principal Ross is supported, because I do believe that she can get better, which is why I talked about growth mindset at the very beginning. And I also shared that this is all about our students, right? So the conversation should absolutely be about how do we move forward, and recognizing that any conversation about her exiting, that conversation is off the table. But I wanted to really address your point about why I made the decision, because I believe those items are coachable, sir. So thank you so much. Ms. Brown?
Hello. Well, thank you. I just want to thank you for allowing me to speak, first of all. I'll try to be brief. My name is Ms. Brown. I am the resource specialist at Valley View. I've been with the district for 15 years. This is my first year here at Valley View. And I just was a little bit taken back because I have seen a lot of negativity since I have arrived. So I do want to thank you for presenting while maintaining a growth mindset today. And I think that's just something that we should be thinking to model for our students moving forward. You know, what we want to see for them, how we want them to behave on campus, because there's been a lot of negativity lately, and then I'm seeing that coming out of the students in the classroom, and some of the words that I hear the kids say. It's things that they're hearing outside of the classroom and with adults, and I think they're hearing a lot of adult conversations and repeating those things. But I do believe that you've shown us so far that you have a concrete plan in place, and hopefully that we can move forward with that and see some progress. I hope we could all keep the students' best interests at hand here, and just try to stay positive and remember that we're their role models, whether it be because we're the teachers or we're the administrators or we're the parents in this case. I just feel like the climate that it needs for us to be a little bit more supportive, and hopefully, we can promote growth if we can change the climate at the school, and the climate in the classroom, then hopefully we can. I mean, if we're constantly being negative, I don't see how we could possibly make any form of growth. So if we can work together, even if it's difficult, because we parents have some complaints and they have some things that they have issues with, but look to see what we could do to move forward and focus on those things. But thank you for allowing me to speak.
Brown. Oh, you're welcome, Ms. Brown. I just want to reiterate, certainly it is important that we maintain a growth mindset. And I will just reiterate what you just said as well, that the support plan is only part of the plan. I think it was very important as we were thinking about this, the conversations, the negativity, as you spoke about, Ms. Brown. I've seen that firsthand. I've been on the site and I've seen it. And I have seen it being shared even with students also, which is inappropriate. That shouldn't be happening. So the second part of the plan, as we were discussing, it's important for us to restore, to develop, to strengthen partnerships, which is why we really sought out Ms. Hong from Circle Up. That's an important piece. That has to happen. We have to work on relationship building. So we could not come to this meeting with just a portion of the plan, which is just working with Ms. Ross. Circle Up, Ms. Hong, is a big piece of moving forward together for our students. So once again, Ms. Brown, thank you. Alice's iPhone.
Good evening, Dr. Hurst. This is Brendan, Alice's husband. We're all in the car together driving on the East Coast, starting our family vacation. Thank you so much for taking the time tonight with your whole team. There's a lot of questions that have already been shared that I had in my mind, but it really focuses on kind of the details of the plan and whether or not we may have an opportunity to look at the plan as laid out, kind of the full spectrum of the plan in writing, to be able to also kind of marinate on it, provide feedback, maybe provide some suggestions of how to move forward. And, I think it sounds like we have, Circle Up is going to be a great resource for us for parents and Ms. Ross to.
Oh, sir, I think you broke up a little bit. You may be in a bad zone. I did catch a portion of your conversation, Brendan. I'm not sure if Dr. Joyner or Ms. Martin wants to kind of reiterate that piece of the plan.
Yeah, so we can't share the actual plan because, again, this is walking the line of human resources. So we can't share the plan, but again, as Ms. Martin said, we can put together a survey that asks the questions that are based on those 4 areas that we've been talking about, to see what kind of growth you see, if any at all. So I think that's the best way to move forward, so that you do have a voice in in her growth, and it'll speak to the plan, but we are unable to share that plan, again, because it's an HR concern.
Are you still there, sir? So we'll go with Cynthia.
Hello, sir.
Hi, Cynthia.
I would like to ask a question, if you don't mind.
Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
Whenever we ask a question about what you are doing, and we would like an explanation about specifically Principal Ross, while you keep redirecting when we're trying to explain.
Yeah, so I think my purpose, again, of coming into this meeting is moving us forward. I think a lot of time has been lost with our students, and I'm just going to focus on the students because that's why I'm here. Not for the adults, even though I support adults, it's for the students. As I think about what has transpired over the past week, and I've been looking at the attendance reports, shouldn't be happening. My job and role as a superintendent is to move us forward. And I was very intentional, Cynthia, in my messaging, and I'm sticking with the messaging. I'm not focusing on anything in the past because the decision has been made. I've looked at the evidence. I've shared that with the board. I've made a decision. We're moving forward. Any conversation about anything else about Ms. Ross not being there, it's off the table. So what I'm trying to really be deliberate about in this conversation this evening is to continue to redirect us to how do we move forward for our students. Our students need to be in the classroom. Our teachers need to be in the classroom. We need to develop our relationships, strengthen our relationships and partnerships, and work with Ms. Ross to grow and Circle Up as well to rebuild those relationships. So, ma'am, that's why I keep redirecting, because for me, it's about moving us forward. So we're going to go to Mr. and Mrs. Rastagi. If they can be unmuted, please.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Shubhra and Pankaj, and what I see so far, we have a child in 6th grade with Mr. Berichard, and what I see so far, there is a disciplinary problem with the class and in the school. And the suggestion that I would like to make is that all the kids, all the undisciplined kids should be divided. I don't know whether it will create more chaos or it will be beneficial, but one suggestion is that they should be divided so that their power is divided. And another suggestion I want to make is the parents of those undisciplined kids should be called on campus for some voluntary services or some kind of services so that they can see what their kids are doing in the class.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Just to speak to one of your points, certainly any issues that's happening on campus, and I've seen them because I've been there, there are some discipline issues there. And I believe that's certainly part of the plan and the mentoring and the coaching that needs to happen with Principal Ross. But also, I think there's other elements involved that we probably all are not aware of. And we're not at liberty to really share as well some of the particulars about what's happening with our students. That's privileged information and personal, private information about our students. But I am aware of the discipline issues that have been happening on the campus, but I do know that there are a set of circumstances that we are all not aware of. And I take all of that in consideration. But to answer your question, when we can't just divide kids, but I understand what you're saying, but we do need to work with teachers and give them tools and strategies. We need to continue training and professional development with our teachers and staff that's working with students, and also strategies for our Principal Ross as well. But your point is certainly well taken. I've noticed it myself, but just want to reiterate, there's much more going on with the circumstances around what's happening around the discipline, some of the discipline issues that's happening on campus. But thank you so much, ma'am. Yolanda Vera Allen.
Thank you, Superintendent. Community, I have a couple of things that I hope are helpful. One of the things that I know, and let me say, for folks who don't know me, that I am a PAR at Valley View, working in the preschool classroom. I have 3 children in the district, 2 with special needs, and have struggled often in trying to have them be seen, and for them to receive services and the programs that they need in order to be successful as students. I've also done a lot of personal work and group work in social emotional learning and support. And I also know that until our community feels fully heard, that we're not going to be able to go forward. And so creating some type of structure, container, so that folks really get to say what they need to say. Until that can happen, this is going to be difficult for this community. And it's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be pleasant. It's going to be some hard conversations, but people need to say what they need to say and be heard in that. And creating the space, and hopefully Circle Up, I believe it's called, will be able to provide that container for us so that folks can come together and say what they need to be said. Saying that, the other piece is that the social emotional piece across the district is in critical state. And we definitely need some folks coming in at our school sites to help us. Valley View needs some help with that. We need restorative practices that are uniform across all classrooms. We need folks, we need trainers to come in to work with us, to help us be able to guide our own learning and processes, as well as being able to support our kids in providing a structure and redirection for some of the discipline issues that are going on. Kids are being so disrespectful and talking to teachers and to each others in ways that are just so offensive and hurtful. The venom coming from folks is unbelievable to me. For what purpose? I haven't heard anything significant enough in my mind to warrant some of the hatefulness that I've been hearing and the fear that people are expressing. And that's rooted in something, it just is not coming out of the air. And so people have not been feeling safe enough to really speak what's true for them. And they need to be able to do that in real ways. That's about their fear and not about somebody else's stuff. And having trained facilitators to be able to lead that process that will gender respect and confidence in the process is so important, because I haven't seen that yet. Yeah. I'm not hearing that yet. Folks thought this might be that opportunity, and clearly it's not that. And I hear what you're saying, because we do want to be productive and continue to move the community forward. And at the same time, I know that we're not going to move until people really feel heard and seen across the board. So please create that for us, that opportunity. Give us some restorative practices that are uniform across the board, with folks teachers, as well as helping our students, leading students in understanding what that means and dealing with it in the moment. You know, not letting stuff fester and go on for weeks and weeks on end, automating some of these systems, you know, that communication piece. It seems like a really simple thing to fix. Every Sunday you get a robocall. It tells you everything going on during the week. How that's really easy. Every time the phone rings, somebody picks it up. That seems really simple. Even, you know, if I'm walking through the office and nobody's around, I want to feel like it's okay for me to pick up the phone. I know how to take a message. If I have a moment, I can do that and make sure that our community is feeling heard and that somebody is there when they reach out. Those are just, to me, some really simple fixes that I don't understand why we haven't been able to step into that. And I get that. Again, I don't feel like it's fixable. You know, I'm not saying anything that's not fixable. So that's what I contribute. I'm in this little place. I'm in a happy place, and I stay in my joy here. And I have the benefit of doing that and working with the littles is so easy, even though they're struggling and they have challenges, but it's still just our joy place. And we're happy to be doing what we're doing and how we're doing that and singing all day long. So I wish that for all of us to be able to step back into our joy at learning and being together, being a community. So thank you for your time. I appreciate you and everybody who's showing up and continuing to stand up for our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Yolanda. I certainly receive your feedback regarding structures for voices to be heard. So thank you for sharing that. You're right. There's a lot happening around our district, and we do need restorative practices, restorative justice, and a focus on social emotional learning. There is a lot of work that's happening around that. I think that's another meeting, though. And I think maybe Ms. Martin, if we could probably have someone reach out to Ms. Yolanda so they could share what we're doing and how we're trying to focus. We're certainly not perfect, but we recognize that certainly is a big need for us. So I certainly receive your feedback, ma'am. Thank you. We're going to go to Teresa Hardy.
Hello, Dr. Hurst. And hello, folks who are here and board members. You've seen me last night. I'm not going to say what you want me to say, so you may mute me, and that will be sad. 8 years in this district, a lot of effort towards helping, towards fighting for the kids. I am a chaplain by day. I went to work this morning and had to be with the family of a man who was 39 and just died. And I didn't shed a tear because I had purposeful work and no one was gaslighting me. And I'm in tears right now. And these people know they have never seen me like that. So you have given us a simple choice, which is all of our work is for naught. And I am demoralized. And you have demoralized the people on here, and we will.
We're not going to head down that path. Again, I appreciate those who have shared a path forward and really asked some really thoughtful questions about the process around Circle Up and their involvement, and also trying to get clarity around the plan and how you can participate in that process. And again, I don't want to appear to be disrespectful to anyone, but I shared the ground rules early on, and I'm going to abide by those ground rules. This meeting was very intentional to focus on a path forward. I am not, as the superintendent of West Contra Costa Unified School District, going to focus on events of the past. Certainly, if you want to contribute to the conversation on how we can move forward or getting clarification on the process, how you can participate in the process, the relevancy and how Circle Up is going to play. I'm certainly interested in that kind of conversation or discussion or anything similar, but not on a decision that has already been made. So just being very clear, the decision is made. We're moving forward. Mr. English.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Hi, Dr. Hurst. Thank you for letting me talk. First off, for us to move forward, we need to acknowledge the sins of the past, which you're not doing. Second off, I want to know, did you speak with our children about how they feel in this toxic environment? How are you going to help them moving forward? We have children that have sought psychological help because of this toxic environment. How do you plan to help them moving forward? I'd also like to know, how much is it costing to implement this Circle Up? How much money are you throwing at
Coaching.
and this coaching? How much money is being thrown at this for a problem that has existed since September? We've been talking to you. I have emails where you promised coaching back in September. Where are the fruits of that coaching? What are the measurable things you have seen that shows you that this principal is coachable? Because we haven't seen it. I would love to see the evidence. I love science. I love facts. I love transparency. I love evidence. I believe in evidence. Show us the evidence, which you have not.
That she's coachable.
There is none. We've reached out to her as a community. I'm all about building bridges. I feel that you are burning a bridge between the district and this community, one that we've spent years building. Valley View has been a jewel of a.
Mr. English, if you're going to share a path forward, I'm really interested in hearing that. So let me just address sins of the past. So you mentioned that phrase. What I will share is I have acknowledged that there are some concerns. So if you're talking about sins of the past and what's been happening there and concerns, I have acknowledged to the board my concerns in some of those areas. Specifically, I've shared with you here tonight concerns around communication and how that also ties to leadership. I also have shared that the concerns that I have, that I know that those are coachable. And we support our principals. And that's what we're doing here, moving forward. And we would support our teachers as well. And I believe in support. And that's how we're moving forward, sir. Tiffany?
Hi, Dr. Hurst.
Hi.
I'm just kind of piggybacking off of that. Can you speak to how you plan to support the emotional needs of our children, our teachers, the community at large when there is such a divide in the community? Our children feel unsafe going to school. They are afraid of retaliation from the principal. The parents are afraid of retaliation. And I have not heard one thing about how you plan to address the emotional needs of our children who are afraid to walk into the classroom and wonder what's going to happen today, who's a safe person that I can go to because it's not the principal. I hear you talking about how you are going to support the principal. I do not hear how you're talking about supporting our children.
Thank you, ma'am. So if either Dr. Joyner or Ms. Martin could talk about how we can support the students, or even if, I'm not sure if Circle Up plays a role in that as well, but if any of you could talk about support for students.
Yes, I can definitely work with our climate department to come out and do some RJ circles in the classroom with our students as well. She can also lead a PD with teachers so that teachers can also engage in that work with our students. We do have a climate department. We are adding some social workers. Once they're onboarded, we can also make some available for Valley View to come out and work with students if it's needed. Another thing is that Circle Up also works with teachers. So the work would not just be with parents, the work would also be with teachers and the principal as well, because there also needs to be some restorative practices and relationships there as well. So Circle Up can work with both parents and community and teachers. And I can bring in my staff, the climate department, to come in and teach the teachers how to lead some of these conversations with students so that they feel safe and know that they have a safe place to go. They can definitely go to their principal if they need support, if they need guidance. They should also be able to go to their teachers in their classroom as well, because those are the first ones that are with them every day in the classroom. So we want to be able to provide our teachers with some strategies as well, because it sounds like our teachers need some more strategies around trauma-informed practices or how to deal with conflict in the classroom as well.
Thank you. Tracy?
All right. I'm still trying to recompose myself after Teresa. Thank you. Was it Larisha who was just speaking?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Larisha, because that's actually what I was going to ask, is that we just start doing something with restorative practices with our students. That is one thing I've noticed that has been missing from the school. I would also love it if possibly Miss Ross can visit other school sites in the area and see the awesome leadership we have at Murphy, that we have at Olinda, that we have at Soskin. A lot of those communities are the same. And we have principals that are doing great, awesome things to build that community and to build that restorative justice. And I would love to have more communication, because I'm hearing that she's not responding to their emails. So
Can we speak to that, Ms. Tracy? I think Dr. Joyner was going to add something to that, what you were saying.
Hi, Tracy. Thank you for that. I actually am putting Miss Ross together with one of those principals in the area. And I supervise the principals in that area, the elementary school principals in the area. But I am putting her with one of those principals to talk about the climate practices that the principal uses with the student, staff, and community, and how they have built that community over time and built that climate to have a trusting climate, so that Ms. Ross is getting ideas and support. And again, her coach will provide ideas and support. But again, I am putting her with another principal so that she can observe and have dialogue with that principal on practices that that principal has used.
Any other questions, Tracy?
sorry, I didn't realize you unmute. I also would like to say that I would like to see her out more. I would like to see her presence more. It is now December, and I think I've seen her once, and that was the first day of school. And then, a second time when I had to actually call her because my student expressed concerns that he was not safe in class, and I had to actually go pick my child up because my son was not safe. So in regards to that, I would like there to be some really secure policies in place for when there are substitutes. I am finding that, and I know our 6th grade is a challenge, and I think restorative practices will be awesome for them. And we have awesome substitutes, but when the substitutes are there, they don't have that same community as with their teachers. And my son has basically asked, can I stay home if there's a sub? He would rather be split into other classrooms than have a sub. So that kind of tells you where some of the climate is.
I
The
think,
other thing,
I'm sorry, Ms. Tracy. I just want to respond or have Dr. Joyner respond to one of your questions and have you come back on. You want to jump in, Dr. Joyner?
Yeah, so with respect to her being seen, Ms. Ross is out. Part of the problem, and this is across the district, is that we have a huge sub shortage, and we have teachers out constantly. And so she actually has been in classrooms a lot. She's either subbing, doing observations, or going to the classroom to provide support for students who, are having some challenges. And so one of the things that we have done temporarily is to put a CSO at your school site so that they can help with some of the challenging behavior, so that Ms. Ross is not the only one, running around to classrooms and trying to provide that support. So Ms. Ross is out. She's in classrooms, and I know this to be true because I call her a lot, or when I'm coming up there, I'm finding her. She's not in the office. She's actually out, and I've had to, call and ask her to be brought back in so that we can meet and talk. So I know she's in classrooms, but I do hear what you're saying, to be visible more around the school. But part of her responsibility is to be in classrooms doing observations and providing support. So I'll definitely talk with her about how to get that balance.
Any other questions?
okay,
Tracy?
yeah, I'm trying to break this up so you guys can respond to each one. I guess what I meant by she's not seen is she's not seen at drop off and pickup. And I think that would be like my son the other day basically said, Mom, why is she watching Coach? And she's like standing behind Coach and like spying on him. And I'm like, what do you mean? Why isn't she there? She's like, no, she won't stand by the cars and wave to us and say goodbye to us. So it's simple things like that for her engaging in the community. I know like the last thing that she went to was our welcome back picnic, I think, because I wasn't there, but that was back in September. We haven't even seen her in any meetings. I hear she's not always attending our PTA meetings. And that actually brings me to another concern I have. And maybe this is circle up, but we need some sort of mediator with her in regards to rebuilding our PTO. She's silenced us. We've had yearbook, just throwing out, I'm yearbook person. We've had yearbook policies in place on how to get pictures and things like that out to the community. And she's silenced us and said, no, we can't do this. We can't do that. We can't do this. And it's like, we're like telling the PTO, no, we can't hold this event. We can't hold this event. And not working with us as a PTO that is extremely strong. And she doesn't hear our voices. And like, to me, it's like we're silenced, and I've tried to have meetings with her and she doesn't show up, and she's not followed through on it. I've not had a successful meeting with her.
Tracy, I think we certainly we hear your points around visibility, building community as well, engaging with the community, looking at the substitutes. But what we don't want to do is to go back and talk about all the issues and the concerns again, I really appreciate the feedback that you have. We can certainly consider those and move forward with those. Thank you, Tracy. We're going to ask if we can move to Kenneth Vaughn.
Good morning, Mr. Hurst.
Good morning, sir.
Okay, so I am a student at Pinole Middle School currently, former student at Valley View Elementary. Before I start, just if you would like to have a response, then just, please keep me unmuted because I have my situationals and I do support you, but at the same time, I do have my views with the parents here at Valley View. So first off, I would like to basically tell you guys about, I guess, the leadership, because back then when I used to be at Valley View, Miss Marinakis, if you guys remember who she was, she ruled basically with a hard fist, but at the same time having that heart and at the same time caring about these students. Because in my opinion, from what I've been spectating, Miss Ross has not been doing that. But at the same time, I've been hearing that there's some sort of re-engagement plan to hopefully do something about that. Mr. Hurst?
Yeah, I see Dr. Joyner shaking her head yes. So
okay.
Yes.
Okay. So I would like to basically tell you guys about my Pinole Middle School experience, because in my opinion, the principal there, Mr. Mapes, has taken the right steps towards leadership and has represented himself to students at an equal stance, not on a pedestal where they are, where they're, I guess, overpowering themselves. They're putting themselves down to our level, to the parents and the students level, and not over exaggerating or, like, for example, not listening, stuff like that. So what Mr. Mapes has done at Pinole Middle is what I hopefully am wanting to be influencing here, as I am now going to become, I guess, calling myself a representative for Valley View, because I believe that the problems that have arisen here could be tackled by observing other schools in the district. Mr. Hurst, you have anything to comment about that?
I agree. Kenneth, thank you so much, sir.
Because this school district has, I've noticed very strong schools with very strong leadership, and at the same time, a lot of student engagement. So what I hope to do for Valley View as a representative for the parents, because I am representing basically the former students, the parents, everyone that has been here, done that. And basically, I feel that by watching these parents, or by watching these parents, teachers, other principals, other schools, by watching them and bringing that to our school, it would most likely strengthen the core of what our school was made out of. Because our core at Valley View has, I would say, collapsed, I guess. But I can see we are trying to re-engage that, I guess, that spark that was there before. Any comments, sir?
I'm listening to what you're saying, Kenneth.
All right.
I don't disagree with anything that you're saying.
Okay. So I've been watching this meeting so far, and I've been seeing that many of the parents are dissatisfied with how their kids' mental, I guess, behavior has been going on. How it's been, the absence of our principal has been, has been taking a mental toll on their health, correct? Here at Pinole Middle School, we have a dedicated psychiatrist here at Pinole Middle School that is helping with each and every individual student at a different time of day, at a different time of week. So basically, my plan for Valley View is hopefully get a spare classroom or in the multi-purpose room, and then I guess have some sort of psychiatrist there that can help the students to the point where the parents are not worried about what's going on, and the kids can receive help for what they need, I guess. Any comments about that?
Yeah, so whenever you're talking about extra personnel, that's a whole different conversation.
Yeah, okay.
And yeah, but I think your point is certainly
Yeah.
well taken about support for our kids.
Well, also, not to talk about extra personnel, but at the same time, we could have the existing staff of our school at the same time mentally helping these kids. As you have seen, Ms. Darla and Coach have been working very hard to make sure that these students stay happy. And I believe by hopefully reinforcing those values, we could most likely raise the mental health of these students. Yeah. A quick example, back in January of 2020, my last year at Valley View, just as the school year ended, my mother had a stroke. As that went on, I've still communicated with this group, and by talking to these staff, and at the same time, the people at Pinole Middle School, I have recovered my mental health at least 100%. And I would like to thank you, Mr. Hurst, for having that psychiatrist on hand. But at the same time, I would like it to be also tackling these small elementary schools, because as you can see, it's also affecting students here. It's not, even though most of the problems come from the big schools, it's mostly about percentage. It's not about quantity. So we should be worrying about these, I guess, the percentage of students that are having, I guess, problems at the school, and then tackle each and every single one of them in a way that everyone is comfortable and united at the same time. Yep. Any comments about that before I keep moving on?
No, keep moving on, Mr. Vaughn.
Alrighty. So about the school's, I guess, safety standard, have you taken off the mandate to keep the gates closed during school hours?
Right. So can you expand a little bit more on what you're talking about?
No, but I'm asking you, have you taken down that mandate yet to like, I guess, keep the gates closed during school hours, Mr. Hurst?
You mean a closed campus?
Yeah, closed campus during school hours,
Okay.
I guess.
So yes, it is a closed campus.
Okay.
Yes.
Mr. Hurst, what I'd like to tackle today is how would you, in your or in a parent's experience, how would they pick up their child early from school? Would they have to call the office?
They do have to call the office, absolutely.
Okay. But at the same time, if these parents are unable to contact the office, what would they do? Would they have to enter in through the personnel gate, or would they have to go through the side gate at Sheldon Path, or whatnot?
So I would say every school, Kenneth, should have procedures on how any parent could pick up their kids.
All right.
So
Okay.
they
Thank you.
vary by school.
All righty. Okay. Thank you.
But basically, the rule is certainly that they call ahead of time to make arrangements to pick up their kids, especially for appointments.
I see. Okay. Thank you. So moving on to another problem about that, I guess, gate mandate thing. I would call it a gate mandate because it's basically closing off the gates of the school during the times where it would most likely be essential to keep them open, I guess.
Hey, Kenneth, let me just refocus. Let me refocus you a little bit, because you're asking a lot of really, really good questions.
Yeah, please go ahead.
But tonight is really, thank you.
Yeah.
Your questions, but tonight is really about a singular subject. So
Okay.
if you remember, when we started, we talked about Principal Ross.
Okay, so the re-engagement plans, basically.
Yeah, and so
Alrighty.
what I'd like you to do is just try to refocus yourself a little bit.
Okay.
And try to focus on how do we move Valley
Yeah.
View forward, and
Okay.
including Miss Ross.
Okay, so to my next point, I guess by spectating the chat or by spectating what's been going on during these past like 1 or like I believe 5 or 6 months, I've been spectating on watching the parents, how they all have a dissatisfied agreement about Miss Ross being a leader instead being more of a boss, I guess. Those two might sound familiar. Those two might sound around the same exact level to you, Mr. Hurst, right?
Yeah. So I would certainly agree that, listening to the parents, there's certainly a lot of concerns. And what I shared is that equally, there's some concerns on my behalf as well. But
Yeah.
certainly there's a path moving forward.
Yeah, I can definitely see that path forming, I guess, by
Yeah.
looking at today's meeting.
Perfect.
In my views, a leader is someone who, I guess, goes down to the same level as their employees, students, staff, such, and then at the same time helps those staff at the same level of what all the students, staff, teachers are. But at the same time, what I think a boss is, in fact, is someone who, I guess, oversteps their pedestal to the point where you're unable to contact, you're unable to help, such, and then they're basically just ruling the school, in my opinion. So in my idea, I guess, I would love it if Miss Ross could become more of a leader instead of a boss. Because by looking at the examples, Miss Ross is currently being more of a boss. So I've led multiple things before in my time at Valley View, and I can say that a leader is someone who takes priorities to make sure all the problems and all the people are satisfied.
Yeah, your point is certainly captured, manager versus
Manager versus employee.
Yep.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, but basically, Miss Ross has, I guess, shown the examples of what a boss should be. But at the same time, there are people such as, what's it called? The parent council, I believe.
Mhm.
Many of the leaders from there actually are leaders, not, bosses, because you wouldn't really want to call it what's it called? You wouldn't really want to call it a parent boss, I guess, or parent council boss. You would want to call it a parent council leader, correct?
Yeah, you're referring to student side council.
Yeah, I'm basically calling them council. So basically, like our student council, you wouldn't call them the student council leader. You would call them more of a president instead of a king, correct? So yeah, Mr. Hurst, I can tell you are definitely a leader, as you are basically prioritizing all the schools at once. So I thank you for that. But at the same time, there are some schools that are left out, which I would love to tackle with you personally on a daily basis, which I believe if I were to be more engaged inside of, I guess, your inner circle of student representatives, I would love to talk to you more about this and talk to you how we can fix our schools to the point where everyone is satisfied, to the point where everyone is not having problems, and to the point where Miss Ross could become the leader of our school.
And let me share this with you, Kenneth, and I want to give everybody else an opportunity to speak. So this is what I was sharing. We're actually on the verge of engaging in those conversations that you're talking about. So you're absolutely right. There's a lot of need in our district. And again, just trying to keep us focused on this conversation. We're getting ready to engage in what's called a strategic planning process, where we look at our future for our school, looking at our district, looking at our gaps, looking at our vision statement, our mission and core values. So that's getting ready to happen.
And sir, I would love to help you with that. If you could just probably take like a day at Pinole Middle School, pull me out of class, talk to me real quick. I could definitely help you with that. As at the same time, I have my values.
This. Instead of pulling you out of class, I probably do is set an appointment with you so you can still stay in class.
Yeah, we can do that.
We'll find some time.
We can definitely do that. I have lunch.
Okay.
Yeah,
oh, that's good. Okay.
Yeah, because at the same time, there's different problems at every single school, but at the same time, there's multiple problems here that I believe, to the point where the parents are notified and definitely worried about this. Yeah, because I know there's parents at Pinole Middle School too that are definitely worried about very bad topics such as like child pornography or like others.
So again, I'm going to try to refocus you.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to the next person, Kenneth, but what I'll do, I have your name. I know you're at Pinole Valley. I will reach out to you. Anita?
Hello, thank you for this opportunity. The first question I have two, is to address the teachers' feelings of being supported.
Mm.
I did hear earlier, and I know this for a fact, that there's a huge teacher shortage going on. There's not enough substitutes. I've gotten email offers to come and be a visiting site substitute. I think they're advertising it as right now. What what can be done, or can you ensure to implement teacher satisfaction or support as part of this process?
Can either Dr. Joyner or Larisha, if you can talk about how we can support teachers through this process?
So the question was, how can we ensure that there's teacher satisfaction in terms of this process?
It appears to me as though a lot of the teachers at Valley View are not getting the support that they need.
Right.
So how can, as part of this whole, I've heard that we want to move forward. How can we all get better? My question would be, how can the leadership and the district support the teachers of Valley View? Ensure that they're supporting them. So if there's concerns, addressing those concerns, helping them to feel valued or have their voice heard, or the same that you're having a meeting with us, are these meetings happening with teachers as well, or support staff?
There was a meeting held with myself and the teachers. Circle Up, as I named earlier, will also work with the teachers. So teachers will also have an opportunity to engage in the same type of circle restorative practices with Circle Up that they're going to do with the families and the community. So we're going to have it with both groups. I also would say that, Ms. Ross will have a coach at her school. So that coach can also walk around the classroom and also identify if there's things that she needs to do to help better support teachers. But we can also send out a survey to teachers as well. So that same survey that I'm thinking about for parents and community, we can also do that same thing with teachers. And then also, as part of Dr. Joyner's goals for our principals, for all of our principals, it's really around also supporting them in professional development. So she can also sit and observe some of her PD and give her some coaching support, and also be there for principals to engage with her around support that they need as well. I hear that SEL is one of the big areas in trauma-informed practices, restorative practices. And so I am going to ask for LaShante to come out. She's my climate director, to do some PD for teachers. And if there are other needs in terms of professional development, I would definitely appreciate if teachers would let Dr. Joyner know or myself know. Then I can look on my team and see who could come out and actually provide some PD for our teachers to better support them. But in terms of giving the feedback, I would say that I will also give them a survey as well, the same one that I will most likely give to parents.
That would be great. I know that there's a teacher shortage across the state, and just employees in general. And oftentimes, when people quit their jobs, it's because of the leadership and they're unhappy with their managers. So whatever you can do to help them feel valued would be awesome.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you. Brian? Can Brian be unmuted?
Hello?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
All right. Give me a second. I'm at work. Give me a second. Sorry. Okay. Good evening, community, and Dr. Hurst.
Good evening.
Bear with me. I've been trying to do my best to take as much notes and be as attentive as possible. But from the things that I've heard thus far, Mr. Hurst,
Yes,
the community, there's a lot of hurt, and I believe throughout this whole process, and we've talked prior, is people want reconciliation, and I believe the plan of action that you provided is your process of that reconciliation. And there has been some people that have, I want to say, either don't agree, or there are some people that, hey, kind of like myself, I disagree partially, but I do agree that we do have to move forward. What I do want you to elaborate a little more is, I think, and I believe you said that throughout your investigation, you witnessed some small sample size of growth from Ms. Ross. If you can elaborate on that, or if I'm misspeaking.
Yes, sir. I think you're misspeaking. I've never talked about growth. I talked about sharing some of the concerns that were shared with me. So that's all I've talked about. That's all I've shared with the board.
Okay. Now, I have a question. What, after March, will you or a representative from your staff communicate with the Valley View community to give us an update of what your findings are of your evaluation of Ms. Ross?
I think Dr. Joyner shared that, but Dr. Joyner, are you still here?
She's touched on that?
What we named was that, sorry.
Sorry. So
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Ms. Martin.
What I was naming was that it's a confidential process. So her evaluation is a confidential process. So we can't name what comes out of the evaluation, but we can definitely allow parents to provide feedback through a survey process, but we can't provide confidential information to parents about her actual evaluation, Mr. Caldwell.
So my question on top of this, how do you guys help us restore our faith and our support? Because I do believe some parents out there want to support Ms. Ross and want to support what's going on here right now this evening, because I do agree with your statement in the beginning, Mr. Hurst, is that we're all here for the kids. We're all here for the betterment of our children. We want them to be in the best situation to succeed. And within that, obviously, there have been some parents that have expressed otherwise as far as your succession plan. Again, maybe you guys have touched on this prior, but I had my daughter goes there to Valley View. She's in 3rd grade. And she had an incident. And again, I expressed to you, Mr. Hurst, in our private conversation as far as communication, where there's an incident. We didn't get any feedback from the incident, where a 6th grader approached my daughter in the lunchroom and threw her stuff on the floor, and then proceeded during recess time or whatever and tried to accost her before. So we reached out to our teacher and to Ms. Ross. Ms. Ross, I will give her a kudos on this. She did approach me last Friday, and we had a brief discussion. But within that discussion, we asked her, hey, can you, within your investigation, can you follow up with this promptly? Because this is a serious situation. This is Thursday. I have heard nothing from Ms. Ross, whether it's any kind of update or the investigation is still pending. Me and my wife have heard nothing. And my daughter at various points have been, at best, afraid at times to go to school. She is traumatized with the situation. So I don't know if that falls under your guys' plan of social emotional health or coaching or whatever, but there's a lot of hurt and there's a lot of alarming situations within our community that our kids are crying out and they need help, and the parents need help too. So within that, is there any type of guide with the parents or some type of collective agreement with the parents within you guys to show us, hey, to either build our trust back in with you guys and also possibly with Ms. Ross?
Yeah, Mr. Caldwell, I remember you and I remember our conversation as well. I'm just going to reiterate what Tiffany Hung from Circle Up said. I think that's a big part of the work with the parents and with the teachers. Just that relationship building. I recognize that there is a lot of hurt. I mean, I've heard it, not just hurt, but I've heard anger as well, and passion as well. So I think that's part of what Circle Up and what Miss Tiffany Hung was talking about. So that work is certainly going to happen. And I think Miss Yolanda Vera Allen mentioned this piece as well, as far as really dealing with the social emotional needs of our students. And I shared, and I think Ms. Martin has shared also, that is work that we're engaging in. That is certainly our belief and is part of our strategy moving forward as well. So that is going to happen. It's not perfect yet. So to answer your question, yes, Circle Up is going to be here to address that component that you just shared, sir.
Okay. That's it.
Thanks, Brian. Jonathan?
Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Sir.
I have a third grader and a kindergartner at Valley View, and I just have 3 questions. The first one was in regards to communication. We've been at the school for 4 years, and this is the first year where we're not getting any type of information coming from the school administration. And so having to rely on a third grader about the ongoings at the school has been pretty frustrating. The second question was about the staff. The staff that did, that may have spoken up or have talked to parents, staff, and teachers. Do we have any assurance that they're not going to face any disciplinary action for doing so? And then the third question I had for you was in regards to the team building. I understand you have an organization that's coming in to help, but having monthly Zoom meetings when the relationships have been soured on all ends between, the principal and the teachers, that's going to take a lot of hand-holding and assistance in rebuilding that relationship, but then also with Principal Ross and the parents. And I do understand you guys have another organization that's going to come in and help, but there hasn't been much talk about, what exactly they're going to do. If you're talking about monthly Zoom meetings, I think you're being a little naive on how broken those relationships have become. That's all I had to say.
Thanks, Jonathan. To your first point, you mentioned communication. I mentioned also throughout that certainly is a concern, and I have evidence on that as well. So I do know that is part of the plan, the support plan. Disciplinary, as far as it sounded like you were talking about retaliation against parents, that does not happen and will not happen, not certainly under my watch. So absolutely no, that won't happen. As far as Circle Up and specifics, what I can share, and I'm not sure how Tiffany is going to orchestrate everything. I think I heard just concerns around just a monthly. I think that's a conversation that we could probably engage in with Circle Up, and it's probably not appropriate to have that right now. But I jotted that down as a concern about just a frequency. But that's something I could talk to Tiffany about offline. But I saw Tiffany raise her hand. I'm gonna let you speak, ma'am. If we can unmute Tiffany.
Thank you, Dr. Hurst. Thank you, Jonathan, for your questions and your concerns. I'm definitely hearing what you're saying, and I want to echo what Dr. Hurst just said too, is that there is, what I'm sensing, a lot of hurt, a lot of kind of mistrust and just concern around how it will be possible to move forward just based on where we are today. And I know the plans sound vague, which is, and in a way they are, because we are still figuring it out. But we're committed to really understanding how people are doing and how to really explore with you all how to move forward. And so as Dr. Hurst said, we're still committed to kind of figuring out the details and getting your feedback and working with you to kind of develop what that will look like moving forward. And I just want to say thank you all for allowing me to be a part of this meeting, and I really appreciate the input and the steps forward. I will be having to head out in just a moment, so thank you all.
Thanks, Tiffany. Mr. and Mrs. DeCastro? If they can be unmuted, please.
Hi, Dr. Hurst and admin team. Thanks for allowing us to ask questions. I just want to reiterate, I'm very concerned for our teaching staff at Valley View right now. I'm speaking as a parent. I'm also speaking as an educator, and I know what it takes as a teacher to be on the ground every single day, creating a positive learning environment. So no, once a month Zoom meetings with Circle Up. No, this has the social emotional health of our teachers and staff and students have to be a priority. So I will ask very strongly that come January 3rd, you know, when our kids are back, I want to see action. I want to see our I am worried about our teaching staff. I worry about their mental health every single day. And you saw what happened this week. You know, teachers are anxious. And so I really hope that you have the teachers' backs and you are supporting them. I have heard a lot of support for Ms. Ross. I want to hear support for the teachers. I want to know what's going to happen every week at their PD, at their professional development, because we've got amazing teaching staff and I want to keep them. I don't want them to leave our community. They have invested their hearts and all throughout the past week. So I just really, really strongly encourage you to think of the teachers' social emotional health and the coaching and the support that they need. Okay, because they are on the front lines every day with our kids. They are the ones at recess. They are the ones creating a safe environment every single day. So please have their backs. Please check in with them, okay, about this plan to support Ms. Ross, because they need your support as well. And I don't know how many teachers are on this call right now, but I really hope you check in with them and also support them, because they need as much support as the parents. You know, if we're truly going to move forward, then you need teachers, parents, all of us on board. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I certainly captured what you were saying. And we are going to have an offline conversation with Circle Up. And again, it's appropriate for us to have that conversation offline, but I've heard that loud and clear from you and from another parent. It's probably the sense also from several people. So thank you so much. I also captured about support for teachers. And we're talking about support for the principal, but support for the teachers as well. So thank you so much, Mr. Castro. Rebecca?
Hi, Dr. Hurst, everybody watching. I'm a former employee of the district and I'm a grandmother. My children went to Valley View. I have 2 grandsons there now. And I know how sometimes, I know things move very slowly in the district. And I agree with Mr. Castro and that we need to see some kind of an action happening immediately when we come back from winter break here, Christmas break. And I have to say, a lot of anxiety was shared about this meeting being on a Thursday night before the last day of a 2-week break. We have families that have given their blood and heart to this school to make it the wonderful school that it is. We do want to support our teachers. I believe the principal walked into a golden plate with all the people and the wonderful things that happen at Valley View. I'm really appalled that it's taken this long to even get to this conversation. And I do have a question for Ms. Joyner, if I could.
Yeah, go ahead and ask your question, ma'am.
She had mentioned that when new principals come in, that they have a coach. And I just wondered, did she have a coach when she first came in, or is this just happening now because of all the feedback that has come out?
So Ms. Tip, thank you for that question. What I was saying is that typically, and I wasn't just saying this district, but typically new principals get coaches, and we have discussed that. And so this was something that was, in the works, but we had to expedite it, because of the feedback. But this is something that we have been discussing.
So you don't give a coach to a new principal going into a district?
It's a practice. I'm new to this district, so I don't know, how that's happened in this district, but that's something that we have spoken about.
So Ms. Tip, that was not something that was actually, it might have been past practice. It was not something that was necessarily budgeted for this year. So executive directors were brought back to support principals, but executive directors are essentially supervisors of principals. So principals still need a coach. The other plan that was in play when I first started, because I've only been here 6 months, was to have our retired administrators support our new principals. However, many of our retired administrators, the two that I talked to specifically, were placed back in schools because we had a shortage of even principals and staff in schools. So they actually went into schools to support. So essentially there was a plan to support our new principals, but because of all the vacancies, we ended up using many of our principals, retired administrators, to support in schools. So we now have a contract in play. We do have all of our new principals receiving a coach, and Ms. Ross is one of them, who also obviously will be receiving a coach as well.
Thank you for explaining that, because I feel that because we've almost been self-sufficient at Valley View, it's like we fell through the cracks and nobody took notice. And there's been a lot of problems that have come out of that. So I hope we can move forward with whatever the plan is with the help that we're going to get. But it needs to be implemented immediately, because it's sad to go to school. It's really sad. It makes me want to cry. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Tip.
Thank you.
So let me just share this. So I know, Viviana, I'm going to get back to you and Tracy, but I want to make sure that those who have not, I see Christina, we talked with you, had some questions, but let's go to Gregory, Tabitha, Fabiana, and then we'll come back around to you, ma'am. We'll get to your questions. So Gregory, Jahan, we can unmute them, please.
Well, it's me again and not my husband, because you shut me down and then turned off my camera. I'm just going to let you know, because I know you don't want to hear from me. You've made that abundantly clear. I have no confidence here, and it's still a vote of no confidence. So come January, being a fingerprinted, vetted, and vaccinated parent, I'm going to be on campus as a volunteer, which you can ask some of the people there that I have spent gobs of money donating to make sure my teachers have what they need to take care of all the kids, not just my kid. I will make sure that the teachers have what they need to be effective, because our teachers at Valley View really, really care. We have some of the most tenured teachers in the district at Valley View, and you got to ask why. Because up until this point, it's been a great place to work because they have felt supported by the community. And we will continue that community support, and I will be there loud and proud. And I'm going to be on campus, and the only way you're going to get me off is by having the police arrest me for trespassing, because I'm going to keep an eye on things. Because what you have told me, Dr. Hurst, is that you don't care what the parents are concerned about. You have made your choice, and you are foisting that upon us. And by shutting down all these.
Let me just stop you for a second, because there's a few points, ma'am, that you mentioned that I just disagree with. First, the last statement you shared, that I don't care. If I didn't care, I wouldn't be here holding this forum. I do care. You also shared that I don't want to listen to you. I actually do, and I'm spending my time, our staff is spending their time. It was scheduled to go for an hour. I told everyone that I would be here for as long as it takes. I do want to hear from all of you, but what I was very clear about, and I will say this message again, it's not about anything from the past. I shared with you that we're not going to listen to any demands or any disparaging comments. That we're only talking about a path forward. So I just wanted to clarify that for you, ma'am. Thank you so much. So we're going to go to Tabitha.
Hi, thank you. So I want to give a little bit of informational background before I ask my questions. And thank you for actually going over your time. I was working until 7 p.m. So I was very excited to see that you were still here when I got off of work and was able to log on. So thank you for going over just an hour. As you heard me speak last night at the board meeting, I have been a parent at Valley View for the past consecutive 9 years. And in fact, I should be a Valley View parent for another 5 years. So like this is my home. This is my kids' home. I have been a parent here for a long time and should be for 5 more years. And I will say that when my first daughter as a kindergartner, when we first entered school, I was terrified. My first baby was going to school where I did not know these people. I didn't know who this brand new principal was. I didn't know who these parents and teachers were. It was terrifying, but immediately everyone was like, okay, what are we doing? How can you volunteer? How can you be helpful? How can we bring you in? How can we get you to know everyone? How can we support the teachers? How can we support the principal? How can we get this done? Like it was the most welcoming place. And that made me feel so safe. It made me know that my babies were safe, that I could comfortably enroll my second and my third in this school. And you know what? Even I had challenges with the last principal. It was not perfect every single day. There were multiple times where we had to have sit-down meetings because things were not being addressed properly, but she had meetings and she listened and we found resolutions. Problems were solved. And it was the fact that she could hear us and she could hear our concerns and say, and have an actual conversation about what was going on. And I love her to pieces, even though we had those challenges. And I'm wondering, like my very first question, and again, I admit I missed the first hour of the meeting, so this may have been covered, this may have been discussed, and if it was, I do apologize, but Valley View was a gold mine. Valley View is a gold mine. Like this is a place where any principal could walk in and they had a team of an entire school worth of parents ready to step up and help and say, what can we do? Put us to work. Let's make these videos on how to get kids dropped off properly. Oh my God, Lisa spent hours, days, and weeks making those drop-off videos for the parents. And our parents were not utilized. Our parents were not only not utilized, but we were kicked out. We were uninvited from our own school. With this, a fence was put up so that we can't enter. And I'm wondering, as my first question, why is there no respect about the culture that was Valley View?
So Ms. Sotomayor, again, not to be disrespectful, but really focusing on moving forward in the plan. So I'm very aware of those issues, and I've talked to staff about those issues as well. I even know about the fence. I've shared that with the board and concerns around that also. If you have a question about moving forward, I would like to hear that.
Okay, I'll rephrase. How is this district going to support Valley View getting its culture back? Its culture of true support, the principal coming to the parents' club meetings, welcoming the parents on campus, accepting their help, and creating a real place where parents feel safe, kids feel safe, and teachers feel as though they can actually work. That is my first question. I have more.
Okay, so let me say this. Just out of respect for staff, the last person is going to be Alejandro. So we're going to hear from Viviana, Tabitha, and then Alejandro. And then we're going to stop. But what I will say, Ms. Sotomayor, is those questions have been addressed. How we're going to move forward. A big part of the conversation has been around Circle Up and how they're going to partner with us. What I've shared is there'll be an offline conversation where Circle Up, as far as the cadence that will be meeting with the parents and the teachers. So I think that is a big piece. We also talked about how we're going to support teachers. And classified members as well. So that will happen also. But then we also have the support plan itself. So there's a number of pieces that are in place that we've been talking about. And I know you just got here, so you probably missed all of that. So just to recap, Circle Up is no longer here. They had to leave, but they're an organization that we're partnering with, ma'am. And they're going to do the work around the hurt, the trust, the relationships that need to be developed and built as well. Initially, when Circle Up we're talking about a cadence of meeting one time per month. We're going to have an offline conversation with them to make sure that we are partnering or meeting with the community more than that. So a more frequent cadence. So that's a big part of the work, is just restoring the community as we move forward. Conversations around supporting teachers and what that looks like. There was a conversation around professional development and learning. And then there was a conversation around social emotional support for students. So we've notated that and we'll plan for that. The other piece was around the plan and supporting the principal. So we've not talked about the plan and elements of the plan because we said that would be inappropriate, but we are focusing on those 4 key areas that we have been talking about and that I met with teachers about. So those are the components. So
Okay.
it's a comprehensive plan.
So I have a few follow-up questions to that.
Yeah.
You say that there is a plan for professional development and support for the teachers. Is there a plan to have a plan, or is there an outlined, laid out plan, an actual plan?
No, so that conversation actually came up during this conversation here tonight about professional development and making sure also that we're addressing the students' needs. But as far as professional development plan, I think Ms. Martin can speak about that.
So the needs of the teachers came up during this call. So I would say there's a plan for the plan. So, I'm going to meet with my team and ensure that when we get back in January, we'll have some professional development in place for the teachers. There's a lot of concern around teachers needing support with social emotional learning, trauma-informed practices, and also just restoring the relationship with the principal, which is what Circle Up will be doing. But in terms of the professional development to manage some of the student behaviors that are coming up, I will meet with my team and have a plan for Valley View teachers.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much, Ms. Martin. I appreciate your response. So what I would strongly suggest is that the teachers be very high priority. Hearing that there is a plan for a plan, it needs to be a plan, an actionable outlines plan, because they, just like Lisa had said, we are scared for them. This is not okay. And I would really encourage that plan to be more focused on asking, what is teacher A and teacher B, what are your needs? I'm not going to tell you what your needs are and assume what your needs are. What are your needs? And hear them. And for the children, is there a plan for a plan, or is there a plan?
I mean, for the children, the teachers are the first line of support for our students. So as I stated earlier, I am working with my team when they come back to do some RJ circles, but really to teach the teachers how to do RJ circles and have restorative conversations with students, and also sort of re-going over what our SEL goals are as a district, helping teachers re-implement norms in the classrooms, behavior expectations, how you treat each other on the yard. So central office won't actually come out and do the work for the teachers, but they will definitely come out and support teachers in being able to do that work with students at the school.
Okay. So another question that I have about moving forward with support for the principal. Again, this may have been addressed when I was still working and unable to be here, but I hear that there is going to be a coach for the principal. My question is, how long is the coach going to be following her? For instance, how many hours per day? How many days per week? How many weeks total? Like, what did we hear what this is going to look like? Or is it just there's going to be a coach?
Ms. Ross will have weekly coaching, and her coach will be coming on site as well as, working on Zoom and through telephone with her. So, but the coach will be there weekly with Ms. Ross.
Can you tell me, because I'm looking for specifics, what does weekly mean?
Weekly, whatever days that the coach and Ms. Ross set up, that's, that they have to schedule that, but we have contracted with the coach to be, to support Ms. Ross on a weekly basis.
Okay, so I'm still feeling very unclear about that, but I'm hoping that more clarity and information comes to light very soon. Now, another question, a follow-up question to that is, what if during that coaching, it becomes very clear that this isn't working? Like, what if the coach reports back, like, I can't, this is still a mess and things are still not going well. And it is like, this is not a coachable situation. What happens if we do not experience this beautiful transformation that we are, I hazard to say, being promised?
So as we said earlier, this is human resources. And so, we can't discuss with the community about, what's happening for Ms. Ross. But Dr. Hurst, Ms. Martin, and myself, along with Ms. Ross and the coach, will, check in and make some decisions based on, what we see and the growth or lack thereof growth. And then we will make some decisions. Ms. Martin earlier stated that we more than likely will be putting out a survey as we go forward to talk about growth and to get feedback from the community about the growth or lack thereof that you see.
Okay, I appreciate that. Now, when you had, Dr. Hurst, when you had mentioned that there's going to be professional development offered for the teachers to assist them in assisting the students and assisting them in repairing the relationship with the principal, is there also going to be, I'm sorry, it's the end of the day and I've been teaching for way too long. My train of thought just completely failed. Is there going to be the same education for Miss Ross? Like, is she going to be assisted in coming to the table as well and repairing those relationships? Or is the burden entirely on the teachers to have that repairing of relationships? Like, is this a two-way street or is it expected that it's a one-way street?
No, this is definitely a two-way street, and part of what Circle Up will be doing is bringing this together as a two-way street. So no, this is not something that we are expecting teachers, to do. This is a community focus, and so Ms. Ross is a part of this community. And so, we're all going to work together. It's not the teachers doing all the work or Ms. Ross doing all the work. It's everyone working together, and Circle Up will be facilitating how those conversations.
Okay, thank you very much. I really appreciate that. And I'm sure that at this point, it's been repetition of things that I missed early on. So I do appreciate that. You have probably said this many times before I got here. So I just I'm nearly finished, but I do want to really stress that, we know that coming back to in-person school this year has been very, very hard on everybody. It's been hard on students. It's been hard on the parents. It's been hard on the teachers, the staff, the admin, the school board, the everybody. So I do want to really recognize, vocalize, and respect that. But I also want it to be not just heard, but deeply felt and deeply understood that it's not just an issue of, oh, we're sad that we're not hearing from the principal as far as communication. Like, this is desperately needed. And I know that we're beating this dead horse. I know it, but I beg you to hear that communication, this is how we resolve problems. This is how we repair relationships. This is how we move forward. And we cannot have communication resistance. And this is going to be a sticking point, like, because the parents have said so much about how we need to hear and see our admin and know that we are being heard, not just told, yes, I hear you, but be deeply heard. We're going to need to see it. And I really want it to just be known that relationships are not going to be repaired unless we feel it, because we have been hurt so deeply and we have been traumatized so deeply. So I just really want that to be felt by everybody, so that we know how deep this is and how far we really have to go if this is going to be a success. I have hope. I really do. I really have hope that we can be in a positive place, but I'm hesitant to hope too much. Okay. Thank you, Ms. Joyner. I appreciate that. Dr. Joyner, is it Dr. Joyner?
Yes, it is.
I apologize. So sorry. I want to give proper titles where proper titles are earned. So like, I really, we're in a lot of pain. And I know you know this because I know you've been hearing it in our voices. I know you've been seeing it in our letters. I know you've been hearing and seeing the tears from people who do not cry. So it's just a final plea and a final beg of, give us half, even half of the effort that the parents put into this community, and it can be magical. That's all we're asking.
Thank
That's
you so
it.
much, Ms. Sotomayor. We appreciate it. So just a reminder, our last person is Alejandro Rojas. So we're going to have Viviana, Fabiana, Christina, and then Alejandro will be our last person. So Ms. Viviana.
I guess I'm sitting here wondering, you know, like as a parent and all these things, you know, where does the reconciliation come in? And so I am the type of person that I think small gestures speak volumes. And I'm hopeful, I guess, for even I'm sorry I did this, or that kind of thing. It's just, I wish to repair a relationship, we need to acknowledge the bad, say I'm sorry, move on. And, you know, I do this with my children, and I think all of us as adults need to figure out a simple way or something where there's something where I'm trying to find something positive right now. It's difficult, but you know, I'm not happy. But the thing is, we are going to have to stick it out, it sounds like. And I get that. Okay. I understand that attitude. But at the same time, if trust for me as a parent is going to be rebuilt, I want to be recognized and also want to be like, hey, we're really sorry. This was a big, huge mistake, but we need to build our relationship again. And I'm open to that. I just want to say I'm open to that and to a rebuild of things. And that's really all I wanted to really say. It's just, I find it that, you know, for everyone's social emotional health, you know, we have to think of things of how to do things and be examples to our children. I know that as adults, we're upset, and I'm upset, but at the same time though, you know, I want to have this dialogue, and I want to rebuild. And I'm asking, I guess, when are these dialogues going to happen? Because I feel like, you know, I know we're having a dialogue now. I get it. But it seems like many things have happened, and perhaps it hasn't been recognized or been taken care of in the best way. When is that going to be brought to life and brought to light, and in order to move on? Because it's hard to move on without recognizing what has already happened.
So the meetings with Circle Up will begin in January, and when we return, we're meeting to plan the dates. And so we will send something out to the community to introduce Circle Up, to talk about, you know, what's going to happen, and then to provide the dates where the meetings and the dialogue will take place. And we will ensure that, you know, the community has that information, and it will be posted and repeated monthly, the dates of when the monthly meetings will take place.
Did you want to say something else, Viviana? Based on that, can we unmute her?
Yes, I'll say one more thing. I'm looking forward to those meetings. I hope that they are constructive. I think that this is all coming to a boiling point, especially the day before break. And, you know, as a teacher, as a mother of 6 children, and 4 of which are neurodiverse, I am, you know, feeling everybody's agita. And so I'm looking forward to those meetings, and I want to be as constructive as I can despite everything else. And I want to also ensure and make sure that the teachers at Valley View get the support that they need, as well as the children, because that's who we're all worried about.
Thank you so much, Viviana. Appreciate you. So we're going to hear from Fabiana, Christina, and Alejandro.
Hi, Dr. Hurst. This is Steve, Fabiana's husband. We have 3 kids at Valley View, and we've had an amazing time there up until this point. The community at Valley View has been welcoming. It's been warm. I could not say better things about it. But right now, our daughter feels threatened by Miss Ross. She feels that if she says the wrong thing, she's going to be retaliated against. There is a unanimous consent amongst the kids, the teachers, the parents, the whole Valley View community, that this woman is creating a hostile environment. I want to say that leadership is about elevating and growing the people under your charge.
Mr. Snaith, I don't want to mute you, but if you can make the connection about how we can move forward, because that's really what I want to hear from you and the last 2. So the connection.
My question is, who's important to you? The kids, the teachers, the Valley View community, or Miss Ross? Who's important to you? And I don't want your words, I want your actions. Who's important? Can you show me in your actions who's important?
Yes.
Because saying nice words and then create.
Let me just say this, sir. I appreciate what you're saying. Students are certainly important to me. I don't want to go back and share everything that I shared from the beginning, but I am here for our students. I support our teachers, our classified as well, and our principals, but it's all for our students. I have a firm belief that all the concerns that was shared, and I do have concerns myself, that they are coachable. So I want to move forward. I really was looking for the connection. I didn't hear it. I don't mean to be very disrespectful, sir, but we're going to move on to Christina and then Alejandro, and then I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you, sir. Christina.
Good evening, Dr. Hurst. I actually was looking forward to meeting you. I unfortunately didn't have my hand raised in time yesterday for the board meeting. And I just wanted to give you a chance to, I want to understand if you were aware. I am a parent at Valley View of 2 children. I understand your concern about wanting to move forward, and I truly respect it. I also am a parent that is open to always supporting the teachers and the principal. My children have never gone away with misbehavior, and I send them to get an education, and that's what I expect from the school. I am a little concerned, and I am not aware that you know this, but I wanted to make you aware that my child actually left school grounds last week with a gate up, and the principal was not aware. And I want to know why nobody knew that my son was not in school when I dropped him off there. I also want to know, after I address this with Mrs. Ross, why you are not aware of it if you're not. And I only want to believe that you're not aware of it because you have not reached out to me.
So this is what I can share with you, Ms. Christina. Certainly that's a concern. I've noted that concern. Her supervisor is here as well and has noted that concern, and she will take the appropriate action. So thank you for sharing that with me. I appreciate it. And I'm sorry, Ms. Joyner, Dr. Joyner, go ahead.
Dr. Hurst, Christina, can you give me your first and last name so I can check into this?
My first name is Christina and my last name is Espinosa.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. And then we're going to go to our last person, Alejandro Rojas, and we'll hear from you, sir.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Hurst and your team we're going on here almost 3 hours. So great. Thank you for everyone for sticking. It's important. So we put importance to where we put our time in. So with that, I've been a Valley View parent for 15 years. We're on our 4th child there. We had 3, got promoted from there. Been very happy. One of the reasons we've been there so long and then we went there was because we heard from another parent who was a 20-year parent from there, right? They're very happy. I was like, oh, wow, I want to be a part of the community. How can we help? So just a little background. So, right, really happy there and putting our work. So one of the other things is quite surprising. Our child today comes up to us and says, hey, there's a news story about Valley View. Have you seen it? It's like, oh, no, I haven't seen it. So all of this that's going on is making it to the news, KPIX, KCBS, reporters. It's like, wow, even our child is bringing this up. They're seeing in the news and it's like, what's going on, right? Thinking about keeping your words, right? Hearing the words moving forward, look for solutions to problems, not problems to solutions, right? So I hear you. So Y is a function of X, right? So we're not going to get into details of what it is, but what are those outputs that we as parents can see, can expect, right? It's all about expectations. What is it? There's a gap here. Parents are expecting and what's being delivered. So what are those outputs that we should be able to see? Others have brought it up, but I think I'm getting straight to the point. Those outputs, those expectations that we can expect to see, right? It's a progress, it's progression.
I can share this with you, the output. I'm going to let you continue to speak, but I want you to just understand very clearly that the output is really around the initial concerns that were shared. And there were 4. And I shared those at the very beginning, certainly around leadership. So improved leadership. So concerns around there, that's been part of the plan. Concerns around safety, concerns around communication, and concerns around climate control. So those are the outputs, sir. So improvement in all of those areas, that's part of the plan. So I just want to be very clear.
Yeah, but I guess I'll give an example. Hopefully I'm not muted, but
no, you're not.
Right. So one of the things is example communication. There was at the beginning of the year, Ms. Ross was absent for weeks. There was 0 communication. Right. I mean, what was the leadership? I mean,
so let me do this, Mr. Rojas. But certainly that was part of all of the conversations. And again, we're not going to go back and address all of those individual issues because I've seen all those emails. I've talked to anyone who's wanted to talk to me. That was an employee there. And I am aware of that. And I did share all of that as well. And that all of that is part of the plan. But for me, it's really about and I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I want to be very consistent in what I've been saying. Certainly a direction has been shared and we're moving forward. But I do understand those concerns. I did share that I have some of those same concerns. There is a plan in place to address those issues. We're moving forward. So really this whole conversation, and I appreciate the dialogue and what I've been hearing from, a good portion of you, and even those who started off one way have come back again and shared something a little bit different and mentioned the words, hope and being hopeful. So we are moving forward. I'm certainly hopeful, which is why I mentioned the term growth mindset, because I do believe, with strategies in place that skills and talent can be developed and hard work as well. And that's what we're doing. And we're trying to be very thoughtful in moving forward to support everyone, including Principal Ross. We're going in this way, understanding and believing that we're going to get better as a learning organization. So I wanted to just share that with you, Mr. Rojas. I'm going to just end the conversation here. I wanted to just say thank you to my staff, to Ms. Martin. Thank you for your time that you've put in. Thank you for being here. It wasn't supposed to go 3 hours. However, it did. So thank you, Dr. Joyner. You've been there almost daily at the site. So I appreciate your presence and I appreciate your support. So thank you. For the community, you showing up in large numbers. I think someone called it out and said 92 people. So I know that you care. I know that you're a tight-knit community as well. We understand that. We have been there too. We would do this really for anyone. I have been there as well. Board members have been there also. We have 2 board members here, as a matter of fact, and I want to recognize them, Trustee Smith-Folds, Trustee Gonzalez-Hoy. They have been there on a regular basis. So we care. We know that you care as well, and we want to make it better as we're moving forward. So I do want to share that. In saying that, I want to just give audience to our 2 board members to see if Trustee Smith-Folds wants to have any closing words, or Trustee Gonzalez-Hoy. And if you can unmute Trustee Smith-Folds first.
Good evening, everyone. I'm sorry, I'm going to turn my camera. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for showing up to this meeting. Dr. Hurst, thank you to you and your staff. Dr. Hurst, I think that you've listened. I think that there's a plan, but I want to make sure that we continue to listen and continue to validate and hear the concerns. I think that we continue to center Valley View and its community, move forward. I think it's going to be step by step, everyone. I think we have to acknowledge that it's going to be step by step, and that we move together. So Dr. Hurst, I'm sorry, that's all I have to say for right now, but I will continue to be at Valley View, and I've thoroughly enjoyed getting to know the students of Valley View. They are some incredibly funny kids. Like, they are engaging, they are funny, they are, it's a great little, those kids are great little kids. So I really do enjoy going to Valley View and getting to know the students and being in some of the classrooms. I look forward to going back. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Smith-Folds. And I think Trustee Gonzalez-Hoy had to leave. So thank you, Valley View community. I really appreciate you. And we will be on your site supporting your students, all of the staff, the parents and the community as we move forward. Thank you, everyone. Have a great evening. Take care.